Hey guys, this next video is a clip from my Introduction to Gesture Drawing mini course that I just released on Gumroad. If you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the link in the description. Also, if you're interested in some pre-recorded critique sessions, for anyone that is subscribed to my email list, you'll get a few free recordings of that. Thanks, and enjoy the video. Hey guys, so this lesson is going to be taking a little bit of everything in order to combine it to create some more organic, cool, interesting shapes. And it's more of a lesson on the exercises and bringing everything together to, I think, include one of the most important things that I think every artist has to do. I learned this from a Proko video on Tim Gula, who is this great figurative artist who studied with Frank Frazetta and Riley and pretty much anyone under the sun you can imagine he's had some influence from. And the idea here is, beyond the line exercises, start drawing just random shapes and creating something from that. I see Anthony Jones also working this way a bit, but thinking kind of intuitively. Just like letting your brain go and just see what comes out. It's kind of taking the culmination of everything that we've talked about so far in the course and creating some sort of like real representational artwork from that. Not necessarily thinking exactly that you're trying to draw something specific, but more so that you're just drawing. When you're thinking of drawing a thing, I think there's a lot of baggage and, pressures of trying to make that thing look like the thing you're trying to draw. And when you're thinking just kind of intuitively like this, kind of letting your hand flow, I think you're more likely to create something that you're proud of and you're successful at. When I draw this way, I do have biases because I am drawing some kind of humanoid figure here, but it's also from the perspective that I'm just kind of like breaking away from things I might draw normally. I think if you can kind of start getting this ability to create shapes almost from nothing, letting your brain kind of be intuitive, I think you're more likely to create things that are successful. Thinking back to the very beginning of this course, a lot of actual art making is pretty intuitive. Whether it's Michelangelo or Morgan Weisling or Kim Jong-gi, if you ask them what they're thinking about while they're drawing their art, they're really probably not thinking of that much. They're just kind of letting their influence and their confidence kind of flow out of them in kind of a confident way. They're not thinking of Riley abstraction or Scott Robertson perspective or color theory or any of that kind of stuff. They're just using the tools that are put in front of them to create the artwork that they're most comfortable creating, which takes a long time to get to. This particular exercise of just letting your brain kind of vomit down on a page just to create something, I think is how real art actually ends up being created. It's very easy to get caught up in studying or doing exercises that you think are the most important to you, or the things that are going to be most likely to get you a job, or have your art liked on Instagram or something. But I think overall, that stuff is not exactly why anyone really gets into creativity for a living, or even as a hobby in the first place. They do it to express, in kind of a corny sense, like their innermost soul or something. And for me, and for a lot of people, sometimes expressing that innermost soul is drawing crazy amalgamation monsters, or for Norman Rockwell, it was drawing Americana or whatever. But kind of just letting your brain kind of sketch and do whatever, I think is ultimately how we find joy in artwork. I would also recommend taking everything that I've said within this course with a grain of salt. I think there's kind of a propensity or an impulse to latch onto an artist that you really like or agree with, and to see whatever they're trying to do as the penultimate of what art expression really is. And I, after having done that with some artists that I learned from, maybe at the Watts or, Stan to a degree, I've learned that there is a huge range of human expression, from something as, commercial as, Leindecker's Saturday Evening Post covers, to something as kind of fan art or fine arty as Egon Schiele's drawings. But it's all within the context of kind of like whatever that true thing is for what you want to do. And for here, like, I'm starting out drawing this kind of humanoid creature, but then just kind of going through and just drawing something else. Like, this is way more of an exercise for me in just seeing what I can create versus it being a specific sort of illustration or, anything specific, anything specifically representational. It doesn't even have to be with the line quality that I've been talking throughout in the course. It could really be anything. And through this way of thinking, I can already start to see maybe a little bit of a narrative in whatever this little weird illustration that I've started is. Like, maybe it's this gorilla amalgamation monster that's kind of been captured by some vine thing in like a dark forest or something. And he's fighting these vines. And I think if I were to start out my drawing, again, very logically and trying to plan everything out, I wouldn't really generally get to this, It would kind of, it would never start if I wanted to plan everything and try to get to this outcome. Or if I did, it just wouldn't feel organic, or it wouldn't feel as fun as doing it this way. And I know that there's a degree of representational art where you're kind of having to exist in some amount of limitations or boundaries, but part of the reason people might pay you for this stuff is for your own unique voice. And again, I guess going to the intuitive side, the reason you study the stuff that we're talking about in this course, gesture, structure, perspective, primitive shapes, all that kind of stuff, is to have a more intuitive understanding. So when it's time to draw something more complex or something more honest to yourself, it just kind of comes out naturally. It comes out without resistance. Whereas when you don't know that stuff, it comes out in a way that is corrosive or, like creative constipation. You're trying to force it out by battling your lack of skill versus it being something that you're kind of used to or not really questioning that much. And yeah, I guess those are my thoughts on this particular exercise. I would recommend, if you have gotten this far in the course, great job, really proud of you. It's really awesome. Recommend just trying stuff like this. Seriously, like really sit down and challenge yourself to just draw. Like, don't draw like me, just draw whatever way that feels natural. Create a person, create just random shapes. Just letting your mind wander in a way that is honest and true to yourself.